Next we have biodiversity. Now what is biodiversity? Biodiversity is basically the species richness of that region. Okay? Species richness of flora and fauna in that region. This is basically biodiversity. Now there are various levels of biodiversity. There is organisms, there are communities, individuals, then there is biosphere reserves, two biosphere reserves. So there are levels of biodiversity. Now how this biodiversity is measured? It is measured in terms of its species richness. We'll be seeing all these factors in more details in the further lectures. Now what are biodiversity services, what services it do, how one plant is benefiting the other plant or the animals and plants are benefiting each other. This will be saying in biodiversity services. Now what are the modes of conservation? That is, if can anyone say that what are the different modes of conservation of biodiversity? Would anyone like to specify? Okay, the biodiversity is conserved ex situ or in situ. It is ex situ or in situ. Now, what is this ex situ means and what this in situ means? Ex situ means an animal lives in a natural habitat. If I conserve that particular area and the animal is living there itself, then I will say it as in situ. But I take this animal away from its natural habitat and I place it somewhere like zoo or a park, or I have made some artificial arrangement for its conservation. Then I will say it as ex situ arrangement. Okay, we will be seeing this thing in further lectures. Now, what are the conservation sites? So here it is given as botanical gardens and zoo. Basically, botanical gardens for flora and zoo for fauna. If there are animals and plants that they are, why we are doing this? To conserve them. Why we need conservation? Because in these recent years we have seen that the many of the species of plants and animals, they are getting endangered, then they are getting critically endangered, and then they are getting extinct. For example, cheetah in India is extinct now. The pink-headed duck, it is extinct. Several species of rhinoceros have also gone extinct. So to save this species, to conserve this biodiversity, we are planning we have made a red data book. So red data book is nothing, but it is a data of endangered species. Basically, there are 6 levels of threatened, near threatened, critically threatened, then extinct. So we have different kind of least concern also. So we have different levels at which this data is being prepared. And this book is updated on yearly basis, like which plant have been getting endangered, so it is included in the endangered list. And after that, which plant is getting critically endangered or extinct, so it is included in the extinct list. This data is published every year. We will be saving all the plants and animals of current affairs and the recent plants and animals which have been shifted or added or removed in detail. Now next I have a question here. The question can be compared from 2012 and 2020. Basically what here the question demand is, if I'll see it closely, then there is a question on which of the following are declared tiger reserve. First question. Second question, it has asked in 2017 that what are M strips. Okay, we will be seeing this. And in 2020, it has asked the critical tiger habitat of a region, of a tiger reserve. So the approach we can see here, can you see an approach that a tiger reserve question, then there is an M stripe question, that how the tiger reserves or the tiger population is being numbered or calculated, how they are counted, if their population has increased or decreased, what methodology they are using, what techniques they are using. And after that, there is critical tiger habitat, that what is a zone where the only tiger can live, and the other other aspects or other activities that are prohibited in that particular region. So we'll be seeing this question as in detail. Consider the following protected areas: Bandipur, Bitakanika, Manas, and Sundarban. Now it is asking which of the above are declared as tiger reserves. So this is a 2012 question. If you will go through this, then it is now 2022, almost 10 years. So various of them have been, which were not included at that time as tiger reserve, are being included tiger reserves now. So we need to know that which of them are included as tiger reserves. Now in 2017 question, we can see that the question is the term M stripes is sometimes seen in news. Okay, in news, in the context of, so it is asking the context that captive breeding of wild fauna, maintenance of tiger reserves, indigenous satellite navigation system, or security of national highway. So this kind of question has been asked in 2017. If you have gone closely, then you can see that stripes term, the tigers, they have stripes. So we can get an intuition that it might be the maintenance of tiger reserves because tigers have stripes. But we also need to have the basic approach or the actual technique that we should be knowing that what it basically is. So it is maintenance of tiger reserves. In 2020, it has asked among the following tiger reserves, which one of the following has the largest area under critical tiger habitat? Okay, it is asking the largest area. Now, if we will see this closely, then every 4 years, the tiger population assessment is being done. So, in 2020 or 2019, there was a tiger census done, and population of tiger in various states of India was released. So, on that basis, there was a column or section of critical tiger habitat. So, it has specified the Nagarjuna Sri Salem. It is the largest. It is the largest tiger reserve, which has the critical tiger habitat as the largest area. So, we need to go now. The UPSC is asking a very minute question or the question which contains very minute details. So to know, to answer this question also, we can see that we can have two or three approaches. First thing, we need to know that in this tiger reserves, which the tiger reserves are being spread in how many districts or how many cities. So by going through this approach, we can see that the Corbett, it is spread in 2 to 3 districts. Ranthambore, it is spread in 2 districts. Sundarban, it is also spread in 2 or 3 districts. But Nagarjuna Sri Salem, it is spread in 5 districts. Okay, it covers this many districts. So on the basis of the district numbering, we can assess that the Nagarjuna Sagar Sri Salem, it will have the largest critical tiger habitat. So same question, but different analysis, different approach. So this we have to see in detail, like how this has been done or how this question has been dealt with. So if this question comes in exam again, then you should have different angles. Like I have said about that, there should be a 360-degree approach. That what are the different aspects of the same question or the same points. So through this thing, we can solve the question. Now next we will be saying Indian biodiversity. So in Indian biodiversity, there is basically Indian biogeographical classification. Now classification is basically on fauna and flora. And the third thing it is Indian wildlife. We'll be seeing them in more detail in few next lectures. Now schedule animals of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Can anyone tell me about Wildlife Protection Act 1972? Why it was implemented, where it was implemented, what are its effects, what are the basic things that have been included in Wildlife Protection Acts, what are the different schedules? Would anyone like to volunteer? Okay. So basically, Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it was basically included as a schedule because there was a major concern on environmental issues. Okay. You would have heard about Stockholm Conference. It also occurred in 1972. This Stockholm Conference led to the formation, ratification first, then it led to the formation of Wildlife Protection Act. Now, this Wildlife Protection Act includes 6 schedules of different animals and plants, that is flora and fauna. Now, these plants and animals have been included as which can be which are endangered, which are given different levels of protections, like tiger, which is in first schedule. It is given highest level of protection. Then after that, there are various plants, trees like red cedars, which are given highest level of protection. And the species are also specified, which can be traded, non-traded, which can be declared vermin, non-vermin. So everything it is specified in this schedule. Now we will be seeing this schedule in detail in the further lectures, like how it is done, like what are the schedule, what are the plants and trees which require special licenses uh, for their production or transportation. We'll be seeing them in detail in further lectures. Now there is another topic, that animal diversity in India. Basically, India is a very large subcontinent. I'll use the word subcontinent. It includes various diversities, floras, faunas, different geographical aspects. So because of this large diversity, we have different kind of mammals, marine mammals, egg-laying mammals, marsupials. After that, there are birds which are critically endangered birds. Then after that, it are corals. We have corals also, which are being degraded. Then after that, there is migration of birds. In India, there is migration of birds from different regions. For example, which is the bird which comes from Siberia to India? Would anyone like to answer that? From Siberia to India, there is a flamingo bird. Okay. Another question is Great Indian Bustard, does it migrate? The Great Indian Bustard, does it migrate? Yes, it also migrates. So there are various kind of birds which migrate from one region to another region, from Eurasia to Asia, that is India, then India to different countries. So we'll be seeing them in further. What are the wildlife diseases that are being currently in news? Like we have seen a news on the tigers or lions which were dying off because of a disease. There are various diseases because of which crops are dying. The plantations are being vanished because of the diseases. So we will be seeing them in detail. Then what is species extinction? So how the species get extinct because of, for example, if we'll take tiger, then sorry, if we'll take cheetah, it got extinct. But at a during from here, if we'll see 15 to 20 years back, the tiger population was also declining continuously. Similarly, the lion population was also declining. So to save those animals, or critically endangered animals, what steps should be taken? What steps should be taken by the government and the NGOs? So those are specified here. And what are man animal conflict? Man animal conflict is basically when the human settlement increases and it just enters the forest area, then basically the animals are living there. It is their area. But human settlement has extended to those areas. So because of that, though animals, those come to the houses and settlements, and it raises to the concern of man-animal conflict. You have heard an example of in Mumbai that the Black Panther or Tendua, it comes and enters the home and it kills someone. In Uttarakhand, the tigers come and they kill someone. So in MP also, there is a movie, recent movie in a man-animal conflict of tiger in a Chhattisgarh area. So it was there. So I just don't remember the name of the movie. It was Sherni, I think. It was Sherni movie. Has anyone seen that movie? Okay. So in that movie, it has specified, it has shown very clearly that how the issue of man and animal conflict arises, what the Indian laws are there, how the Indian laws are benefiting or they are at their harm. So it is shown in that movie. Okay. So the man animal conflict, we can see that there is diversity, but there are various issues because of the human and animal conflicts. Now, next we will be saying plant diversity. In plant diversity of India, there are first thing is various classification that how many plants are there, in what categories they are classified. We'll be seeing them further in further lectures. Then effect of abiotic components on plants. For example, there is various cycles of carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, what effects they are playing, why we need fertilizers. So this will be saying what is the what are the effects of sun rays. If sun rays are not there, what will be the consequences? So abiotic components basically. It can include gases, air, sunlight, water, then various minerals, as we have seen in the first slide, that there were various components of environment that were abiotic. Then after that, there are insectivorous plants. Then what are the different insectivorous plants? Are they harmful to human beings? Or there are something other aspects related to them? Are they medicinal? They can be used in medical industries. So it is an aspect. Then what are invasive alien species? During colonial period, large tract of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh, they were cleared with the original trees, and there the plantation of new species of trees were made. So we call them as invasive species. We'll be seeing them in further. Then alien flora of India. What is alien flora of India? So there were many species in this colonial time which were brought from Australia, Europe, South America, North America, and they were planted in India. Now in India, there is availability of water at higher level, the ground level, groundwater basically, it is at higher level. So what this alien invasive species does, they get their roots easily through this water, and they intake almost most of the water. Now the plants which are near to this invasive tree, it gets less water. The original species or the endemic species, they get less water because of this alien species. It leads to the dying of this endemic species. So these are the effects related to invasive alien species. Now next is medicinal plants, trees and characters. There is a list we will be saying what plant have what effect. This will be basically on previous years and the current affairs. Next we will be seeing as marine organisms. So marine organisms are basically, there are plankton, planktons, then there are phytoplankton. Basically, if a plankton is a plant based, or it is a flora based, then it is a phytoplankton. If it is a fauna based or it is an animal, then it is a zooplankton. Okay, we'll be seeing them in further in more detail. Then there are sea grasses. There are different type of sea grasses which are present at the continental shelf or continental slopes. So we'll be seeing them in further. Then what are seaweeds? What are weeds? What is a weed basically? Weeds. Anyone would like to elaborate? What is a weed? I'll give an example. Carrot grass. Anyone has heard that? Carrot grass. Basically, it is a weed species. Why it is a weed? Because if I grow one of the weed in one area, then in just few months, its population will increase and it will cover the entire area or most of the area of that region. So this will lead to the nutrient deficiency and water deficiency in other original or endemic plant of that region. So this is the work of weed, seaweed. Same thing happens in the marine ecosystem also. We will be seeing this marine ecosystem in more detail in further lectures. Now, what are the protected area network? Now, this is very important aspect because almost two, three, four questions or zero questions like in 2021 comes from this area. Now, why the why there are protected area networks? Why we need to protect the animals and plants of that region? So there is a national initiative have been taken for the protection of plants and animals through wildlife sanctuary and national parks. Okay, we are doing this through an initiative which is wildlife sanctuary and national parks. Also, now this is done on a closed system, as not everyone is allowed to go in this wildlife sanctuary and national park. There are some limitations. So to other areas or urban areas or suburban areas where their people are living, they can also give some efforts for the protection of environment. So there are conservation reserves and community reserves being formed. Now these are formed by the state governments. Basically, if there is any public land or private land where the consensus has been made for the growing of trees or plantation of trees, then those will be included in conservation reserves. Similarly, if there is an area where the more number of communities are working together and this community is helping to grow trees for the benefit of that region, and this community will own those reserves, so that will be community reserves. Similarly, there are coastal protected areas, that how the coastal protection has been made, till what meters or till what range the human settlement is allowed, and after that what are the consequences, what are the limitations to human beings, how the waste management is being done in coastal regions, how the plants or animals they are being protected in those regions, like coral reefs also. So it is included here. Now, sacred groves of India. There are certain trees which are living from hundreds of years. These trees have some special indigenous significance to the tribal people or the local people living in that region. Those are specified as sacred groves of India. They are being conserved, but recently, due to modernization of Indian society or westernization, also we can say, there is there is loss in belief of the local community, that they are being rationalized, that on what basis these groups are being sacred. So there is an effort being made to get this knowledge or get trees being transferred from one generation to another generation in the same health. So, sacred groves of India. Then, what are export prohibited items? This will be seen in WPA Act 1972. Then, what are the global initiatives for protected areas? Like there is Montrex Record, there are Ramsar sites. This includes the wetland systems. Then there are various wetland systems which are in India also. Now I think it has crossed a number of 47 or 48, but there are various other global initiatives. Similarly, the Man and Biosphere Reserve, Man and Biosphere Program. Now, Man and Biosphere Program is basically it is for the conservation of biodiversity. Through this program, the biodiversity hotspots have were being made. So it led to formation of biosphere reserves. Now this biosphere reserves not only one part but also many different parts of the national parks or wildlife sanctuaries. So the biosphere reserve can be land, terrestrial, or it can be marine biosphere park. Like we have a biosphere reserve in southern India. I am just losing in name. I'll just specify it. Then next is National Biosphere Reserve Program. How the reserves of this biosphere has been made. Then there is World Network of Biosphere Reserves. Now, if India is having some biosphere reserves, the other biosphere reserves are being also made in different countries. So how they are connected, how they can enrich each other's species richness. It is specified here. Then this leads to the biodiversity hotspots, like which region or which region of the country is having large number of biodiverse species. This leads to the formation of biodiversity hotspots. Okay, next is World Heritage Site. This heritage site is being specified by UNESCO. Now, what this heritage site includes, if you have heard history, there are various archaeological sites which are included in UNESCO World Heritage Sites. But there are natural regions also which have some specific importance. So they are also included in the World Heritage Sites by UNESCO. Okay. These all things we'll be seeing further in further lectures. Now I have a question here of 2012 and 2013. It is basically on the animals or fauna. So what it asks, in which of the following states lion-tailed macaque is found in its natural habitat? The options are Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh. Now, if we will see that the lion-tailed macaque, it is endemic to one region of the India, of the Western Ghat. That region is Nilgiri Hills. Now, this Nilgiri Hills, it is in the tri-junction of three states. Those three states are Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Karnataka. Now, Andhra Pradesh is situated above Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So, it is not included here. So, our answer here becomes 1, 2, and 3. This requires a basic knowledge of where the lion-tailed macaque can be found. So it is a very peculiar question. Now in 2012, there are questions on different species or categories. Now it is asking which one of the following groups of animals belongs to category of endangered species. Now I will be specifying. This is a 2012 question. Now we are in 2022. So 10 years has been went so far. So many of the species, they are interchanged between endangered to critically endangered, or from critically endangered to less endangered, or from endangered to vulnerable. So what are the current aspects or what are the current category of these animals? We can see them in detail. Like we know that the endangered animal are Kashmiri stag is there. Then there is Great Indian Bustard, it is also endangered. So there are various categories that we need to know that to how to take an approach on this kind of questions. So this can be went through, the approach can be made by current affairs. So current affairs approach is a better option for this kind of questions. Next we will be seeing conservation efforts. So as we have seen earlier that there are various issues because of which the animals and plants are being endangered. So to increase their population or increase their numbers, we have implemented various kinds of conservation projects. For example, there is Project Tiger, Project Elephant, vulture conservation. We have made vulture restaurants also in Uttar Pradesh. So it is included here. There are conservation of one-horned rhinoceros, Project Snow Leopard, and we have also made project for securing Himalayas also. Like a Himalaya as a single ecosystem, what efforts can be made to secure them? So secure Himalayas, then sea turtle, then crocodile conservation project, Project Hangul, captive breeding, dolphin conservation, etc. So we will be seeing that what approach have been made to conserve these animals and these fishes or mammals. So we will be seeing them further in our further lectures.